panel number 2. Topic is founding in Austria. We've got the gentlemen lined up over there. So while I announce them on stage, you applaud and we'll get into it. Don't forget, we'll have a Q&A part around 20 to 2. So if you have questions, ask them. You see, it pays off. Other than that, make some noise for Reinhold Baudisch, Berthold Baurek-Karlic, Maximilian Tayenthal. That's the part where you come on stage, boys. Andreas, Tschas, and Frank Westermann. Einmal da lang. Hab's dir. It's really funny calling you some of you by your full names. That's very unusual. Like sometimes I know these guys for years, some of them, but surnames always quite different. Again, please introduce yourselves shortly, but this time we'll make it really short, like a minute and a bit. What you do, why you're here.
Try this out. Hello, hello. Doesn't work? It works. Okay. My name is Frank. I'm the co-founder and CEO of a company which is called mySugr, and we at mySugr, we provide apps and services for people with diabetes to make their diabetes suck less. That's our mission and vision, and we are a Viennese company, grew from 4 founders to right now over 20 employees in the last 2 years. Yeah, that's it.
That's the part where you applaud, please. Thank you. Yeah, we're working on it.
My name is Maximilian, and I am founder of Number 26. We offer Europe's most modern bank account. We're an Austrian founders team that moved to Berlin, so our startup is Berlin-based. We have currently a team of about 35 people, and we are looking for 30 more in literally every position. So please check out our job section. And yeah, in terms of the status of the company, we just that's if some of you are interested in the startup space, you might have read about it. We were very happy to announce 2 or 3 weeks ago a Series A where Peter Thiel, like first investor of Facebook and founder of PayPal, joined our investor board and led the Series A of our company.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
My name is Berthold. I'm the founder of Venionaire Capital. Venionaire Capital is a corporate finance M&A consulting firm which has accomplished to fund within the last 2 years around 50 companies with over 350 million euros approximately. We're currently in the stage of closing the first 100 million venture fund in Austria for Series A, Series B. Yeah, and we're looking forward to pushing this startup scene a little bit more.
Thank you.
Hi everybody, my name is Reinhold Baudisch. I'm the co-founder of durchblicker.at. We are an Austrian company, as you can hear. We founded the company 5 years ago. Today we are Austria's largest rate comparison portal where Austrian consumers can compare and get very good deals on insurance, energy, finance and mobile phones.
Hey everyone, my name is Andreas. I am co-founder and CEO of Pioneers. Our vision is, we believe that technology and entrepreneurship have the potential to solve many of the grand challenges that the world is facing. This is why we started Pioneers. A couple of years ago, I also was a student here at the Wirtschaftsuniversität, unfortunately not in this building, where we started Icons in a first step, and out of Icons, Pioneers grew. And now you probably have heard about Pioneers Festival, which is happening next week. And besides that, we have a consulting unit where we bring together corporates with startups. Corporates are seeking innovation and startups are creating innovation. So we bring these parts together. And recently, together with our business angel, Hansi, who is sitting over there, and Speed Invest, we raised a 60 million fund for the CE region, and we have some big announcement coming up at Pioneers Festival regarding that, so some more money that we can put on the table for good for good startups.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Now, Andy, just out of a question, on a scale from 1 to 10, and 10 is utterly magnificently awesome, how would you rate Vienna right now as a startup ecosystem now and, let's say, 5 years ago?
Oh, that's a good question, and I was asked exactly that question last week.
Then it's not a good question.
But
Thank you.
the range was 5 to 1, and then last week my answer was 4 at the moment. Then I said it's 3 minus. The thing is, it's a lot going on in Austria. So when you look at that 5 years ago, when we started our first event, I really like to tell a story. So at Icons, we started this first project, and we created an event. We could convince Microsoft to give us their office space to organize the first Startup Live. And we had 40 participants, and 12 were from our team. So we had 28 people, and that was the startup community at that point. So that was definitely then a 5. The thing is, now it's a lot happening. More and more money is available for startups in the region. But the biggest issue that I see is that internationally we are not really recognized. And what we called the war for talent a couple of years ago, which we still have, we now see as the war for startups. So many cities, many countries are trying to attract the best startups. It's a competition. It's for future jobs. So startups are creating a lot of jobs. So you really have to be an attractive city. You have to be an attractive country. What, for example, Berlin is doing quite well. And this is something where we really, really need to do something. And we are pioneers, so I think for 3 days we bring all these awesome startups to Vienna. This year we had 1,600 applications from 98 countries, but it doesn't help us if we bring them here for 3 days and then they leave the country. So this is something that I see where we have to improve. And coming back to your question, yeah, let's say 7.
7 out of 10 now.
10? No, then it's a 3.
No. 10 is the best. So
yeah,
7.
Then it's a 3.
A 3 out of 10. You give Austria a 3 out of 10 now. That's wow.
When it comes to subsidies and stuff, it's quite well. So also media, yeah. But still, we have to look outside of Austria, what's going on there. And we are in a huge competition, and compared with other cities, yeah, let's say it's a 4. Yeah.
4 out of 10 maximum points. Okay, that's. By the way,
I have to be a little bit critical. You know,
I love that.
We have to start a good conversation here,
dude. If you would have said like 9 out of 10, that would have been. That's fantastic. Now, what we'll just do now, gentlemen, is the 4 of you. If you think it's more, thumb up. If you think it's less, thumb down, just out of interest. Take your time, we've still got like half an hour. Okay, the 2 of you think it's more. That's interesting. I'll come to you in a second. You, Sunshine, you left actually. You're from Vienna, and you decided Vienna sucks so much you need to go to Berlin to found your company. That was the easy way I said it now, but why did you leave Vienna? What did Vienna not have to offer what Berlin had or has to offer? That was a nasty question, I know, but still.
No, it's a fair question, especially given the title and especially given the fact that I'm the one here actually that moved to Berlin. Actually, we founded in Austria, but we moved to Berlin 1 month thereafter. Like, there's 2 things, I have to say, like it was 2 years ago, there's 2 things I believe are critical for the success of a startup. Like, one is the access to capital, and second is the access to talent, because you're very much dependent on finding really the great people, because you're, whatever industry you're in, you're actually attacking really big companies. And of course, you have just very few resources compared to them, and you have very few people compared to them, but you just need the people that are fitter, that run quicker, that work harder, that are just smarter than those in a startup. And you have to, those in corporates. You have to have a certain mindset to work in a startup. Like, it's not the corporate mindset. It means that you actually, you cherish flexibility and all the other good things a startup can offer, and you're probably not so much looking for job security. Because I, as a founder, cannot promise you, if any, like one starts in my company, I cannot promise that the company will still be around in 2 years from now. And of course, that's an atmosphere someone has to accept. And Berlin is currently, and for the last couple of years, it's so much hyped as a startup capital that a lot of people that actually have just the right mindset I was talking about are moving to Berlin. So we have, as I said, 35 people working in the team, and I think it's 15 different nations. So that's the one thing. That's the people you find. And the second big point is access to capital. Like, if you actually 2 or 3 years ago, if you wanted to talk to more than 5 people, you had to go into the plane anyway and fly to Berlin or Munich or London, where the big funds are. And it's just a fact. You're very dependent on capital, and the big capital is it's developing in Austria, but it's not in Austria. It's not even in Europe. If you want to develop, you have at one point in time, you have to move to the UK, and then you have to move to the United States. That's where the capital is. And if I have one more...
Please, go for it.
If I have 1 more minute to talk, that's why I think it's really great. Talent and capital. I really think it's great what's happening here. Like, my co-founder and I, we were actually we were doing the traditional internships, like, I don't know, consulting and banking. And also after my studies, I didn't consider startup. Startup was not an option at that time, but we very much regret it afterwards. And I think events like this, they're really great because they raise the awareness of young people that there's actually other things than corporates, consulting, investment banking, and so on. And the second thing is, I like, of course, everything that's really good for the ecosystem. And what those guys are doing, like raising a 100 million fund, like, that's unheard of in Austria. Speed Invest raising a 70 million euro fund. Like what Hansmann is doing as business angel, that's really great. And I think it supports a lot the ecosystem, and I think it will contribute a lot that actually also the phase of the startup scene is going to change. It's already changing, and it's going to change over the next couple of years.
Thank you. And you left to Berlin because it was lacking talent and capital? You haven't quite answered the question yet. So you went to Berlin because Vienna at that point was lacking talent and capital?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, if you want to, if you look for an iOS developer, an online marketing expert with 5 years of experience, like, it's extremely hard to find the people. Like, there's a big war on talent also in Berlin, but you have the people. You know where they're working, and you know where people are unhappy, and you can actually access them. And also Berlin, for some reason, or for a couple of reasons, it's very attractive to young people from all over Europe. Berlin is very much, has kind of a cool image right now, and that's why people are moving here. And perhaps the final point, it's also, we were considering actually London and Berlin. It's just in Berlin, you know, prices are still low, it's quite a high unemployment, rents are still lower, and it just means, compared to Berlin, if you have 1 million euros, you just can do much, much more. You can hire more people, you pay them, I don't know, 40% less, but everyone's happy because he can go to the restaurants you want, he takes an apartment next to the office. So that's what's actually a big argument for Berlin, also compared to Vienna. It's more expensive, and especially compared to the Silicon Valley, or compared to New York, or compared to London and other cities.
Thank you. Now I have to ask you, Frank, you actually took the other way around, right? You came to Vienna to found your company. So
yeah.
How come?
For any reasons? Yeah, now it's working. Yeah, it was the other way around for me, and also for like Fredrik, one of my co-founders, who's actually from Sweden. And for both of us, it were rather private reasons, you know, because our wives or girlfriends are from Vienna. So that's something. So it's hard to, you know, work on that side of the ecosystem.
So you're saying the good thing about the Viennese ecosystem are beautiful women?
It's an extremely important factor.
Well, that's a good start then. Okay.
No, but I just want to elaborate a bit.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Please do. Please do elaborate.
Yeah, no, but there are a few couple of things which are really great to create a company in Vienna, or at least to start your business here. And so for us as a company, we probably would have never ever started if we wouldn't have received a first pre-seed funding from AWS as a subsidy, basically. And that was kind of the initial spark to create mySugr. And afterwards, we did maybe the typical cycle of getting a first business angel with Hansi, and only afterwards, it was the third round of capital increases where we had the first VC on board. And the latest round of capital right now was with a US-based VC and a Swiss-based VC, so what you really consider like a Series A round. But it took us a few baby steps, probably, if you look at US-based companies who do the first round with 5 million euros. It was our third round, basically. For us, another important factor, and which also helped us a lot to really start, was that Austria is it's a pretty small market if you start here. For a couple of reasons, that is absolutely a negative aspect. And it's not, in my opinion, it's not only access to capital and talent, it's also if you want to grow with your startup, Austria is definitely not your market. Go out. The next step is definitely Germany, then go ahead. Our biggest market is by far the US, so most of our 300,000 users are US based. And that is Andy, I see you every second week, I think, checking in for a flight to Berlin or anywhere in the world, because it makes no sense to build up, you're an exception, to build up your business with a case that only works in Austria as an internet startup.
That was an interesting point, thank you. In the two of you, I'd asked, okay, who says it's a better ecosystem than 4 out of 10, and the two of you were better. Who wants to go first?
Yeah.
Well, go on then.
I go.
Oh, you're charming.
I think it has developed. I think it has developed really a lot within the last years, and that's a great thank you to Pioneers and Andy and all the work of all the other guys having been involved in the beginnings and really kicking this off. And I see it a little bit different from like the 3 points Andy gave. Like from today, I think we have attention. We have more attention than we sometimes think of, and that actually came to be very obvious to me when we went to Silicon Valley with our foreign minister. You've been on the trip also, Daniel. When we actually met Spire, an Austrian founder doing a space tech company, insanely great. We met the probably most important guy in the world, or mightiest person in the world, because he's the head of security global for Google. So he's literally having all your data under his fingertips. And he is from Upper Austria. How cool is that? So there's Austrians everywhere. When we came into Facebook, there were like 5 guys from Austria saying, hi, yeah, we work here, and this is what we do, and whatever. So the funny thing is, we always think that we're so small, and there's nothing out there, and we don't really have a chance, and there's lack of talent, and there's lack of connections, and nobody really knows us. The thing is, it is not like that. We have to go out, we have to connect with our friends in other countries, we have to think like a hidden champion. Out of the 253 hidden champions per EU definition, we host 178 in Austria. 178. That's a huge number. And the thing is, Austrians can really easily adapt in other countries. For us, it was not the first step to go to Germany. For us, Venionaire, we decided we go to New York because we need to build this bridge first. We tried it in the beginning with Switzerland and figured, why connecting 2 little dots? Let's connect a huge one with a startup ecosystem, which we believe is at least as great as Silicon Alley. And Silicon Alley, as they call it in New York, just started basically 8 years ago. And one of the really, really strong points that drove them forward, I think everybody would agree, was the founding of Techstars. Everybody knows this huge accelerator. They do an accelerator as a franchise, but the funny thing is, they're only 8 years old. And with them, New York suddenly got to be on the map.
But Techstars was founded in Colorado.
I think they told us in New York that they were founded there.
No.
Well, then maybe it was just a kicking point when they opened the office there.
Yeah, yeah, they definitely have a very good office there.
Yeah, but the thing is, in the end, it just moved them on the map. And what they also told us is that they raised so much venture capital in the last 2 years than never before. And so there's something happening, and we figured, okay, it's closer to Austria. It's just 6 hours instead of 9, and therefore we start with this dot and connect this one to Vienna.
Thank you. Reinhold, you decided to grow a business in Austria that should remain in Austria. How did you decide that? Isn't that something that will drive any investor away when you say, what's your global vision? My global vision is Austria.
Well, yes. Actually, this was a tough part in the unique selling proposition to investors. However, never mind. I mean, our business plan is in a way that we're really well off once we have enough traction in Austria. So for us, as like Austria's leading aggregator platform right now, this is totally fine, and we still don't have any ambition to go abroad or go internationally. We're right now talking about how attractive is Vienna as a center for founding a company, and I totally understand that other places on earth are pretty cool too, and I also totally understand that there is a lot of upside potential in terms of what we can achieve, and I'm totally grateful that everybody here, but also the people from Pioneers, are totally pushing that and also pushing on a political agenda. But I also have to say, I think what we do have here is really cool. Vienna is probably one of the best places to live, and we do have, and this hasn't been the case when we founded Durchblicker like 5 years ago. As of today, Austria has a great infrastructure in terms of where you can set up your office. You have great infrastructure in terms of access to capital. You have great infrastructure, access to government subsidies, and all sorts of public funds. So from my naive, only Austrian perspective, and I'm seriously lacking comparison here to other big capitals, but I really have to say it's a great starting point to founding a company.
Thank you. Andy.
Yeah, you know, while you guys were talking, I thought about what you said, and I thought about, I think 1 year ago I would have said 6, yeah? But now I traveled a lot, I saw what's going on in other cities. So this is the one point, this international competition, and there we really have to see that we are not on the map. Vienna is not on the map. It's a small market, and we really have to also appreciate what's happening, and there's a lot happening. So the first point is we are not on the map, and this is why I give it a 4. And actually the second point is, if we now say, okay, it's a 8 and everyone is happy and we clap on our shoulders, then you know what's happened is that we don't push, that we don't keep the pace that we have right now. At the moment we really have a really good pace, and there is one guy who is very much pushing this, and it's Harald Mara. For the past 5 years we were looking for a politician like him. So when we started and you went to the government and explained them what we are doing and what startups are, nobody really knew about it. And we didn't get that much support from the government. But now, and I always said, startups has to become the Chefsache, it's in German, I don't know the English term, what's?
A leading, totally fucking important problem.
Chefsache, yeah. So really the head guy in the government has to take care of that, because it's so crucial for the country, for the economy. And now I really have the feeling that we are going into the right direction, but we really have to keep the pace to become an innovation leader and not an innovation follower. And this is why I became quite critical over the last years. Because if you see what's going on, and if you see all the efforts that other governments are putting in, then we have to do a lot of improvements.
Well, it's a long road ahead. I mean, we can see that, but I have to ask. Let's keep this one short. I know we can talk on this for hours, but obviously time is limited. 2 questions, and You can interrupt, you can jump in, you can yell, and you can punch each other if you feel like it. That would be awesome. No, just kidding. Don't. I didn't say that out loud. That's my little brain going, that would be awesome. Two things. Number one is, what does it take to improve this ecosystem? And number two is, it's a cheesy question, but I want to have your opinion on it. Do we need to rebuild like a Silicon Valley in Vienna, or would it make sense to look at Europe as a big picture and have individual hotspots for specific topics? So number one, what does it take? And number two, new Silicon Valley or dedicated areas in a united Europe? 3, 2, 1, jump for it, whoever feels like it. Go for it.
I think it's more about connecting dots. Everybody who thinks that Silicon Valley is just at one spot is just totally wrong. It's a set of little towns, and it's actually spread around the whole bay. I mean, that's like if you say I want to have Silicon Valley in Vienna, it's kind of, it won't work, and it won't be like the similar thing. I think it's just about accumulating, it's about connecting dots, it's about getting areas with certain specializations, with certain strategic partners, with money available, with talent, with great universities, to get all that together and to get them to collaborate, to open up, to interact, to engage themselves also with people from their home country or maybe neighbor country, internationally, even if they work in China or the US. It's just, the planet has become so small thanks to digital technology, and we just have to think in any way how to make an advantage out of that. And then it really, I think it is not so much of a matter anymore where you really sit with your company. I mean, of course, politically, there is so many points you guys always make. I'm not a politician, but there's so many things you could change. You could lower taxes, you could make the laws for employees much easier. That's all pains we have also, it's all things we see. But in the end, it's like, I'm not a politician, I can't really change that, and I try to make the best out of the environment I have, and that just means, for the first step for me, just interact more, connect more, be everywhere you can, and have satellites, have friends out, and just, yeah, try to collaborate, make this planet just a little tiny thing that works together.
Thank you. Gentlemen, anyone got anything to add to that? Oh, yeah, you answered it all.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like, despite the fact that I think that Austria is a great place to found a company, there's always things you can improve and make to work better. In terms of legal or taxational environment, I would say there's like two issues that I'm really having here in Austria. One is, but this is a problem of general politics and tax regime, that the employer side costs are like a nightmare. If you have like a net wage, you have to multiply it with a factor of 2.2 roughly to really have cost to company of an employee. That's a problem, and I think meanwhile Austria is like in the top tier, in the negative top tier of in terms of taxation and employer side costs. I think this is a very general problem that is hindering the Austrian economy a lot. And I think the Austrian government really should act on that. The second point, and this is a point very much specific to startup. Startup, well, you need to have like good guys. You want to tie these guys to the company, and what would be extremely helpful would be a way and a regime of options that you can give to employees to really make them stick to the company, and at least for myself, I haven't seen a really good like option plan that is also tax deductible and works and is legally sound. This is something where I think the Austrian ecosystem could do much more to foster growth and attracting and maintaining the right people.
It's a very valid point. I think we're all also fighting for these places, pioneers, Austrian startups, and so many other players. But just two short questions on this. I mean, number one is, can basically any type of startup make it in Austria, or are there specific startups you would advise, no, you need to leave because of specifics? Is there something like, would you say every fintech has to go to Berlin or London? Would you say any health should stay here? I don't know. Are there areas, or can basically any type of startup make it?
Honestly, I don't think you really need to go there. I mean, at some point it definitely makes sense to have an office there, and from the beginning it definitely makes sense to learn and to have people who are connected in the ecosystem. But again, I think it's not a matter where you found your company. It's not a matter where you sit with your development team. It's more like maybe for a fintech, it's important to have the right guys that are connecting to the large banks, to get the collaborations, the first things running, to be connected in these financial centers of the world. I think there's ways to work with that. From the cost side, I just wanted to add one thing, because this always comes up, that the employer costs are so high. If you compare it to Silicon Valley or London, like another very expensive place, it is, if you think that a great developer there also works for 120,000 euros, like a top developer here will work, that's just not gonna happen. They take like 350 plus option pool, plus maybe some incentive you can deliver, and then still you have to be scared every day that this guy is just getting a better offer from Google next door, and then whoop, gone. So there's also some advantages of being on a little island where nobody really cares what you do with your developers, and you have time, you can source, you have it at some point even cheaper than in the US.
You were going to jump into something.
Yeah, I just wanted to add something. You know, the Austrian market size is definitely a disadvantage, but on the other hand, you can also play to your advantage, because for example, for us, it was a huge advantage that we had like the global outlets, the national outlets of global pharma companies here in Austria, like Abbott, Roche, these big companies, and we were able to quickly set up partnerships with them here in Austria, and that was a big advantage, because they took us at first to like the European level, then to the global level, and kind of made advertising of these partnerships within their organization, and that kind of leveraged us into the other markets. So one that's definitely a big chance for everybody here is like a good connection of the ecosystem, meaning like also the old economy ecosystem, because in Austria normally you know somebody who knows somebody, and this guy definitely knows the CEO of a company or something, and take that and let these connections here in Austria, which are established and well working, let them play to your advantage.
Now, usually as moderator or presenter, I should be quite neutral, but obviously this topic is very close to my heart, as I'm also co-founder of Austrian Startups. Like it, by the way, I'll check on this. So what I want is obviously that we build a great ecosystem, which a lot of you are. What I also want is that you found companies here, ideally, that we can even foster this ecosystem more. What I like now is, again, raise your hand if you want to found a startup sooner or later. Who wants to do that? Raise your hand. Now, what I would like you to do is, that's awesome, by the way, thank you so much. What I want is, we've got around 5 minutes of discussion, and in 5 minutes we'll open up to Q&As. What I want is, what are the 1 or 2 messages you could maybe give these young aspiring founders that do want to found, what to look out for, and why would it make sense to found here? If you can say that, but what are kind of like 1 or 2 war stories you can share, what to watch out for, what to look for, and what makes sense? I want to end on a positive note, because we know we've got a lot of challenges, but we're entrepreneurs, we're used to overcoming challenges, right? Hopefully.
Yeah, like definitely just do it. Like I've been at university afterwards. I tried consulting, I tried corporate, I tried legal advisory, and doing a startup in terms of learning and in terms of things you can change and in terms of how happy it actually can make you. It was definitely the best thing I've done so far. Like really try it out. You have to be aware that failure is actually part of the deal, because what you're doing, you're taking very little money and you want to build something really huge, and that means, as we all know, like if there's a huge upside, there's also a lot of risk involved. I don't even think it's so much, and I agree with some of the others, that actually where you actually base your company. But the interesting thing about an internet company is scalability. So actually, it is about it shouldn't end, whatever you're doing, it shouldn't end, like there's very few exceptions, but it shouldn't end at the borders of Austria. Like we are doing Germany, we're doing Austria. We have the vision to build a European company at least. Like if you look at if you need big money, fintech is one of those topics where you need a lot of money. Like you definitely, like American fund is not investing in a like it's never investing in an Austrian story. It's not even investing in a German story. It might invest in a European story. Like normally they like global stories. So think about your business model, and then and if you fail. Look at statistics. Like most companies, statistically are failing, but it's not, it's not something, and that's what the Americans are really strong in. Like it's not a personal failure. Like it's just part of the model, and then like be prepared to fail, and then try something else.
Thank you. Anyone want to add anything?
Yeah, I would say don't be afraid to get your hands dirty. Just start to work. Just try anything that you have on your mind. You have the chance of your lifetime. You're living mostly with your parents, or maybe on the pockets of your parents still as you're in university or about to finish university. So it's rather cheap to do it now. If you're having a kid at home and you're married and you have responsibilities to take care of, it's not so easy anymore to found a company. So you have a huge chance. I think you can go to McKinsey and all these other things after you have failed. Like literally, I think they have even learned now that any MBA in the world is worth nothing compared to someone who has tried to build a company, made some progress, and maybe failed after 3 or 4 years. Always these talks about there is no culture of failure. Honestly, I see it differently, and I've seen this developing in the last 2 years, and I'm really, really happy that at least some of the consulting firms have learned that. And I think that's just something we need to learn. Just don't go out of university and think, now I do my BCG intern, and then I do my McKinsey intern, and then I learn something, and then I become a junior analyst in a bank, and then I will learn something more. And then like 3 years later, when my education is old and maybe I have responsibilities, I'm thinking about founding a company, and like at that moment I need like 500K to start it as in a pre-seed moment. 3 years before I would have needed 30,000, and maybe my grandfather would have just gave it to me because he thinks I'm totally nuts, but at least I'm not doing what everybody else is doing in the neighborhood.
Thank you. And Andy, before you say something, just one thing. Raise your hand if you have a question. I want to understand how many of you have questions. That's one person. That's 2 people. We spoke about this already. Andy, motivate them. We'll have 5 minutes of Q&A. If it's 2, okay, go for it.
Stay hungry, stay foolish. So, and be curious, guys. Where are the questions? What really fascinates me every day is that we as humans, we as individuals are more empowered than ever before. With all the technologies that we have nowadays, we can create amazing stuff. And I will give you 2 examples. Last year we had the world premiere of the flying car at Pioneers Festival. There were 2 guys from Bratislava who created the Aeromobile, a flying car. There is Boeing, Airbus, and all of those companies. They are trying to build this product, but they haven't managed to do that. And there were 2 guys with a budget of 1 million to build a prototype of a flying car. This year, at Pioneers Festival, we will have Easton LaChapelle. He's 17 years old, and he created a prosthesis. A prosthesis. Out of a 3D printer, which is controlled by your brain for $600. You can buy this one. So what his vision was to create a prosthesis for everyone that is affordable for everyone. And this guy is 17 years old. So he took his 3D printer and started to build this product. So what I want to tell you with this, and it's exactly for people from the Wirtschaftsuniversität, get curious about technology. We will see so many developments in the future, and we really have the chance to solve the grand challenges of this planet And actually, this is the task we have. This is what we need to do. So get curious and come to Pioneers Festival.
As I said, we've hardly any time left. We only got time for one question. So I'll do a 3, 2, 1. You raise your hand and that's the question. Okay, we'll do 3, 2, 1, go. Yeah, but I mean that we'll do that one more time. That was fucking horrible. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Who's the question? Yeah, I think you won. Red shirt. Awesome. Okay. Yeah, well, we need one mic. Can I have that microphone? Will you run? By the way, one important thing is also don't think small if you build companies. Don't build the 48th taxi app for your local place. Think fucking big. Really do that. Big, big, big. Excuse my French.
Hello. Yes, my question is, how fast do you have to move as a tech startup when you start in Austria or in Vienna to compete with American startups, or so they don't steal your product? Thank you.
Who would like to answer? How fast? Really fast. Not as fast as they answer, obviously.
Insanely fast?
Insanely fast, you heard it there. But
I generally haven't seen a lot of cases like that. Americans are a little bit ahead of Great Britain, like with most internet products, and then comes the rest of Europe. And so what you normally see is that European startups copy American proven business models. Like what I found as a founder, like at the beginning, you're extremely concerned, like to share business plans with anyone else because you're afraid of people copying it. It's actually never the idea. It's all about execution. Like if we sit together here, the 5 of us, probably after a couple of hours, we have like 100 ideas that are worth trying out. It's not about the idea and the concept. Like I don't know any idea that's so good and so brilliant that you can just copy and it works easily. It's about execution. It's about years of hard work, like build up the team, go to market, do marketing, all the other things that are involved. And that's actually the hard part. So don't be concerned about someone copying your business.
You've got 3 words, if you like. Really mega short.
Mega short. Your company has to be insanely fast due to a cultural problem. Because we think there is no minimum viable product, we need a viable product. Swiss call this Swissness, they even have a word for it. The Americans have not even a minimum viable product and they go out and say, hey, I just fake it till I make it. Yeah? And that's the reason why you have to be insanely fast.
So be insanely fast, and as I said, JFDI, just fucking do it. Other than that, thank you so much to our panel. That's the part where you make some noise. I think they liked you. That's a good sign. Other than that, we'll be moving on to our workshops. And actually, your response has been overwhelming. So all of the workshops are booked out. So if you're in a workshop, awesome. People outside there will be helping you to show you in which workshop you need to go. There's the titles. And I'm still here, I'm talking. It's like in school, it's horrible. And you can also have a Red Bull energy break, so go outside, grab a Red Bull. On that, move outside, find your workshop, see you later. Okay.